All right, y'all, you at Twin City Firewood, thank you for being here. Tons of other videos out there being made every day, and I'm honored you chose this one. Been running this little super split for several years now. I'm pretty happy with it, but I wanted something with a little more power. So I got this Ultra recently, and I thought it'd be a good time to do a little comparison video. I got my tape measure, talk about some specs and some pros and cons, and some things I've already noticed that I may like better than one or the other, or vice versa. Y'all stay with me. Also, I'm gonna split these with one of the splitters, and of course these with the other splitter. There's not a nickel's worth of difference in any of these rounds. I tried to hand pick them and get them as close as I could. Them two's red oak, that's Bradford pear, that's chunks of ash there. They were both 16 inches, and I split them in half. And red oak right there, both of them are almost 13-inch in diameter, both of these right here. I'm not trying to do a comparison on speed and power. This is just to give anybody out there that might be looking at these splitters like I have been, just give you a little idea how they'll handle wood like this. This is common for me to handle these size wood. Actually, I get quite a bit bigger, but I'm not covering that today. Well, I'm sure there'll be things I forget, but I'll just try to talk about a few things that have stood out to me and several years of running this splitter and the short time of having this splitter. First off is maneuverability and the weight of the machine. The knot definitely goes to the super split. It's definitely easier to move around. Also, it weighs, I think, roughly 300 to 350 pounds less, I believe. I know this one weighs 800 pounds or more, and this one's around, I think, 500. Don't quote me on that. I didn't do enough research on that one. This one's definitely easier to move around, but that's not to say that you can't move around this one. I know Uncle Chris in the woodyard has a trailer dolly, and I may have me one of them eventually. But on gravel and stuff, and if you got a fairly hard compacted yard, I don't know that you would necessarily need one. And I'll tell you something else is, this one has 1 foot. It's just that jack, and it's sort of curved upward, so you can sort of scoot it around when you're splitting wood. It's pretty easy to do, versus this one has 2 legs. These 2 outside legs are always touching. Then you got a 3rd foot where the jack is, where the hitch is welded to. So it kind of binds you up and is a little cumbersome to move it around, even though it's lighter. I like a smaller splitter, and both of these are considered small splitters, and both of them wouldn't be much trouble moving around in your wood yard. Another thing is your wedge heights. And the wedge height on the Ultra was right around 12 inches, I believe. And the super split was 6 inches, which is, of course, twice. That's a big deal. On straight grain wood and stuff, the super splitter will pop open rounds pretty well. If it's, just depends on the size and the species. But a lot of times it will not, and you have to flip that round back over. That's one big thing I wanted to go with the Ultra over, because of my tree service wood and the things that I get. I wanted that taller wedge, and I wanted to hit these rounds pop open without having to wrestle them as much. As far as cords per gallon, I did a video on this. You can't hardly beat this super split. Several times I've split over 2 cords on a tank of gas on this super split. So you can run this super split about half, or I usually run 3/4 throttle. Of course, the hydraulic, you got to get that pump going, so you need them high RPMs. But super split's got a 9 horsepower motor, I believe, and the Ultra has a 14 horse Vanguard. The Ultra's definitely louder, but it's not like my earbuds can't cancel it out. If I'm splitting, I got my earbuds in and music playing anyway. I honestly can't really tell it's much louder with my earbuds in. But table width was another big one, and already I wish the Ultra was as wide as the super split, especially with fooling with those bigger rounds I'm talking about falling over. I wish the Ultra was a little wider, because there's been times already when I'm splitting with this Ultra and I want to set half of that round over and keep splitting, and it's just a little bit cumbersome. I'm getting used to it, but I wouldn't have to if it was this wide. The nod definitely goes to the super split on the width. Table height, I noticed this right off the bat. The Ultra is almost 3 inches taller, which that doesn't sound like much, but That's a big deal. I can feel it on my neck and my back already. It's just more comfortable. It's just the right height. Of course, you can jack it up and bring it up higher if you wanted to. You could do the same thing with this one, but it won't be level, right? So just both machines level. The Ultra is, I think it's almost 3 inches taller, and it's a notice. I mean, I noticed that right off the bat. Very first use to using the Ultra, so I like that a little better. Greasing the beam, not a big deal. Slap some grease. I know some people pour some oil on the beam on the Ultra. I mean, I think that's pretty simple. Super Split comes with a little more details, but it's nothing bad. I use WD-40 and I use a little metal scraper, and I keep that dude clean, and I like that little roller bearing clean of debris. The ram or the pusher is about twice the height on the Ultra as a Super Split, and that may not sound like nothing, but there's been times, multiple times, when I thought maybe the ram should be taller on this Super Split. I'm no engineer, but I have gotten that ram up under a round. You know, you don't always get perfect round logs to split, and a lot of times they'll pop up and that ram will get wedged up under a round, and you have to beat it off with a sledgehammer or pry it off with a pry bar or this and that. And I do believe that's a difference maker sometimes. I know there are two different kinds of machines, hydraulic versus kinetic, and I love this Super Split, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying there's times when that ram does get wedged up underneath, and there's times when I'll be saying some bad words trying to get it off of there. Also, you can get splinters of rounds wedged up underneath this brass plate where the pusher is. And it doesn't happen much, but it does happen some. I keep a 9/16 socket in my bucket over here to loosen these 6 bolts up, and they come out pretty easy, but it does happen. Of course, I got both of them with their single wedges right now. The Ultra, you can get comes with a 4-way, and you can opt to get the single wedge. Ultra does have the power to push the 4-way, so that's an advantage over the Super Split. But the Super Split is fast. I mean, it's fast. The cycle time, unloaded cycle time on the Super Split, I believe is like 2 to 3 seconds, right? Ultra, I believe they say 4 to 4.5 seconds. It's fast, but that's when there's not much resistance. You slow them both down with a tough round or something, but the Ultra has the power to push through. I really believe it depends on the size of wood and the type of wood. I think if you're one of those guys that buy logs and you can control the size and the species, that's a big determining factor for me on which one of these splitters you want. I don't get that control. I can control what kind of species I get, but the size, a little different. You will get into rounds that it'll take multiple hits with your Super Split. You have to pull up on this lever and strike it several times before you'll get it to split. And then sometimes you'll have to take that round and flip it back over and sort of line your split up with your wedge and get it to push through. I think that's where advantage with the Ultra really comes in, is the power and the taller wedge. You can pull the Ultra down the highway up to 50 miles an hour, and it does have a tongue in the back, or a receiver hitch in the back, that you can place your tongue in and pull it away from your pile. But I don't believe you're supposed to pull it down the road from the back, only from the front. The Super Split can't pull it down the road, but it is, you could put it behind your four-wheeler or whatever and pull it around. When it's rainy out or misting, or the wood is soggy and wet and just nasty, you have to keep that beam cleaner on your Super Split. It'll jam up that roller bearing, and it's just something to take in account when you're splitting. I don't imagine that would bother this one too much, but as far as having to keep an eye on it and splitting in more fair conditions, Ultra would get the nod there. As far as price goes, Ultra is more expensive, but it's not like it's twice the money as the Super Split. I know the Super Splits have come up in price since I bought mine, but I'm going to stay away from numbers just because that's always changing. I think you just have to look at your firewood operation and see what fits you best. have noticed that when I got a hold of that bigger oak round, I split it open and laid the half over. And then once I got done with the half I was working on, I went and grabbed the next round. So I tried to imitate that as best I could in both videos. And also I ran the super split on high throttle, which I never do. But I thought, well, as soon as I don't, somebody will say it could have went faster. So I just wanted it to be at optimum working capability there. And I don't run it at high speed for the fact that it's more likely to shoot wood back at you. And don't ask me how I know. I've had it happen several times. So I like about 3/4, maybe even a little less sometimes, because if you get a piece that wants to fly back at you, it just gives you a little more time to react, you know. That wood was suited for the super split pretty well, and I think it showed it off as far as the speed. But I'm not saying one of these machines is faster than the other. I mean, clearly the super split's got a faster cycle time, and you give it the right wood, you know, I believe it'll chew through wood faster. Now you get into some bigger rounds, tougher wood, I believe the Ultra would make up, the slower cycle time I believe would make up for you having to bring the rounds back off of the single way wedge on the super split, or flipping them over and lining it up and striking it again, or multiple strikes. Now I'm not saying one of these machines is better than the other. I'm just trying to give you some information if you're like me and was looking at both of these. I hope this video was helpful. I know when I was shopping, I would have kind of liked to see something like this, and maybe it'll help somebody out there. If I forgot something and it's pretty useful, let me know in them comments, and let me know what I forgot, because I guarantee I forgot something. And I wasn't trying to cover every little bitty thing, but, you know, trying to get what might have interested people out there. And if you catch me doing something wrong, you can let me know that too. But if you can't say nothing nice, you know, do like your mama told you. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for being with me to the end. I hope y'all be back, and I hope you're blessed, and I hope that you'll be a blessing. See y'all.